Hey guys, welcome to this another chapter in the module of YouTube ads. In this module, in this chapter, we want to learn about the structure of YouTube ads. How does it work? Who do we target? How do we target? What are the different ways in which we can do it? What are the structure? Everything that we want to understand and hierarchy, a segregation, a segmentation, a categorization of sorts when it comes to YouTube ads. So let me, instead of just talking about this, demonstrate on all of this on a whiteboard, right? Now, a YouTube ad account, of course, requires your ad account, right? So you have your Google Ads account, right? So, okay. Yeah, you have your Google Ads account, right? Inside this Google ad account that you own, right? You will have your YouTube ad campaign, right? So this campaign basically is about the different types of ads you want to run, how do you want to speak it. So now let's say, for example, if you have any offer coming up, a sale coming up, if you are doing a new product launch, a new season, you're launching a new service, right? So all of those will be individually different campaigns, right? So each of these different objectives that you want to achieve, the goal that you want to achieve, right? All the different objectives are your different campaigns. So all of these combined will be your different strategies, right? How you want to speak to your customer, what do you want to talk about, what aspect do you want to focus on, right? Each of them become a different category. So let's say if you have a Black Friday sale coming or any other offer coming, that could be one campaign which will only focus on Black Friday. How do you get it? What do you get it? Where do you buy? What's the date? What's the time? All of these things. Here, if I'm specifically speaking about a use case or solving a pain point, so that becomes my another campaign, right? Now, inside each campaign, we can create multiple ad groups. This is exactly the same structure that we follow for Google Ads. So inside these campaigns, you will get your ad groups. This is where the story slightly changes, right? If you remember when my lectures with Google Ads, you would have seen that with Google Ads, what happens is we cluster all the keywords into different categories, which then becomes our ad groups. Here, we do not need to cluster our keywords, or that's not completely dependent on cluster. Here, you target your audience in a few ways. Your first set of audience is actually just called audience, right? Now, audience basically means, let's say, for example, if you have a list of all these people, um, you know, who's visited your website, who's done something like filled up a form, etc. on your website. So all of this is your data. So I'm just going to put it on website data. That's one type of an audience. Another type of an audience is when you have an existing database. Let's say all those people who have used multiple channels like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, everything under the sun, uh, to fill a form on the platform or fill the form on your website. And at the end, you have this data. So all that data can be pushed to the platform so that we want to show them ads, right? So that becomes basically your data. These data sets would require predominantly a name, email address, phone number. That's pretty much what it requires. Apart from that, if you have additional information like city, state, etc., we can focus on that as well. So these are audiences. There are some more steps in audience. So one of the very important and slightly newer thing which has come up by YouTube, right, in audiences or Google Ads per se in audiences is when you can target somebody who is visiting a certain website, right? So visitors or people interested in a certain business website, right? This can also be your competitor's website, but there is a catch. You can't target the person visiting a certain website. You can target their look alike, a person similar to the person visiting a certain website. Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm trying to sell a service which will help e-commerce brands achieve certain goals. Let's say, for example, shipping, right? So now I will try to target all of those people who are look alikes, right? Who are, this being the most operative word, who are basically a look alike of that person who's visiting a Shopify store or a WooCommerce a Shopify site, a WooCommerce site, etc. So similar to those people who might have similar attributes, right? Your ads will be shown to them, to those guys. You can't, of course, directly target these people because that's a breach of privacy uh, on the side of Google. That's why you can't particularly do that. But Google helps you identify lookalike, and these lookalikes are very thorough lookalikes, right? You might get a very similar person who might end up actually buying your product or service, right? So visitors of a certain website, and then you can also target people who are interested, right? Or anywhere on Google, on YouTube, have an intent of a certain keyword, right? So this isn't clear enough. Let me write it properly, right? So all of these become your audience sets, right? So somebody who's visited or taken a certain action on your website, somebody who has been a part of your database, somebody who's a lookalike of a visitor of a certain website, and then somebody who has an interest on intent, right, of punching a certain keyword across any of the Google ecosystem. So you can target those, right? Apart from this, guys, you can target people basis topics, right? So again, like I said, if I am someone who's trying to sell a shipping related service to all the e-commerce websites out there, right? I can target people who are interested in topics like e-commerce, shipping, all the other e-commerce related stuff, right? Reading blogs about e-commerce, reading, consuming any content about e-commerce, going to e-commerce websites. So that becomes my topic, right? These could be small businesses, B2B businesses, right? All interested in e-commerce. So you can target people basis topics. You can target people basis keywords as well over here, right? So these are all those people punching a specific keyword, right, on YouTube. And then finally, you can target people by something called as placements. Now, target people's by placement specifically means that if you want to target people who visit a very specific website. So let's say there is a very famous blog that talks about e-commerce or D2B, D2C stuff, and you want to place your ads on that. So you can pick that particular site as a placement. Or let's say, for example, if there is a video that decodes D2C, that decodes how to build a brand, right? Where you know that these are the type of videos that your potential customers might be watching right now. So you can specifically place ads before, in between those specific websites or YouTube channels or specific video as well. All these are called as placements, right? So these are four broad, plus there are some subsets inside them. But these are all these four broad ways in which you can target a specific person when they come to your website. Now, coming back to our structure, let me just move this a little bit. Coming back to our structure, what is really important over here is when I'm creating a campaign, inside my campaign, my ad group 1, right, will only focus on audience, right, of course a similar interest. If I have multiple interests and audiences for that, that will be also ad group 2. Let's assume that. Again, audience was slightly different. The other thing I can focus on in topic and keyword you can use hand in hand. That's absolutely okay, because keyword actually does not give you very high volume as compared to Google Ads can. So topic and keywords can be your ad group 3 over here, and your ad group 4 will be your placements. Right? So this is my ad group 4. Now again, let's say for example, within placement, I want to target all tutorials on D2C. And B, I want to target all competitor websites. Or let's say not just competitor, but related services. Like I said, if I'm a shipping service, Shopify is not a competitor, but any video, etc., from Shopify actually attracts my audience. So my competitors' videos, or let's say, for example, related service. So this would be still placement, but my ad group file. So all individual targeting options will be a different ad group, but within those as well, if you are trying to segregate or navigate to a different set of audience within that, like we discuss in placements, a tutorial versus that particular channel talking about something, that will also be a separate placements, right? So if I have to build like a broader structure for you, it's actually going to be like, let's say, for example, I am doing YouTube ads. My campaign one, let's say, focuses on a sale. Campaign two focuses on, let's say, for example, features of my business, right? Now here I can have placement one. Here I can have actually ad group one, which is placement. Or let's say, let's start with audiences. My ad group two, which is, let's say, for example, topics. And ad group three, because we're talking about sales. So let's say, for example, placement, which is Shopify. And then similarly, I can have ad group 1, 2, 3 over here, and the topics will be around this. That's how you segregate your content. That is how you structure. Now, this looks really complicated, right? It's actually, when you begin with it, it's slightly complicated to do as well. But once you get the hang of this, right, you will master this. Now, one very important thing that we usually forget when we are trying to build the perfect structure. One very important thing is the structure needs to build from bottom to top. What do I mean by that? The first thing that you work on is your ad, right? From an ad, you identify your audience. From an audience, you group them into a campaign. So when I have this structure, right, each of these structures will have their unique ads as well. So of course, we determine our audiences, but the first job that you will do is create an ad, right? You will understand who you want to target, but you cannot be in a campaign midway and then decide who do you want to target, how do you want to target, etc. Right? So that's how we will focus on things. So in the next chapter of this module, I want to walk you through how to create your perfect ad script, right? Based on your audience. So see you in the next chapter. Bye-bye.